Civil rights activist, publisher, journalist, and lecturer Daisy Bates played a leading role in coordinating the integration of Little Rock Central High School in 1957. The Daisy Bates Story. Daisy Lee Gadsden Bates was born on November 11, 1914, in the small sawmill town of Huttig, Arkansas. Bates was raised by her foster parents, Orly and Susie Smith, who she believed were her biological parents for many years. She was still a child when she later learned that her birth mother had been raped and murdered by 3 local white men. The 3 men were never charged for the crime. Her biological father left the family shortly after her mother's death. For young Daisy Bates, learning of her mother's death and knowing that nothing was ever done about it filled her with anger and hate. Daisy's adopted father, Orly Smith, gave her some final advice while on his deathbed.
Daisy, I know you're filled with hatred, but hate can destroy you. Don't hate white people just because they're white. But if you do hate, make it count for something. Hate the humiliations we're living under here in the South. Hate the discrimination that eats away at this country. Hate the discrimination that eats away at the soul of every black man and woman. Hate the insults hurled at us by whites. And then try to do something about it, or else your hate won't mean a thing.
Bates said she had never forgotten that, and it is from this memory that she claimed her strength and leadership came.
I couldn't remember a time when this man I called my father didn't talk to me almost as if I were an adult.
Her father was a member of the NAACP. She remembered asking him as a child why he joined the organization. Daisy Bates said her father would bring her back literature to read, and after learning of their goals, she decided, quote,
"My dreams were tied with this organization."
This is African American History is American History. Daisy was 15 when she started dating Lucius Christopher Bates, or Elsie for short. He was an insurance salesman who had worked on newspapers in the South and West. They moved to Little Rock and married on March 4th, 1942. After their move to Little Rock, the Bates decided to act on a dream of theirs, the ownership of a newspaper. They leased a printing plant that belonged to a church publication and inaugurated the Arkansas State Press, a weekly statewide newspaper. The 8-page paper was published on Thursdays, carrying a Friday dateline. The first issue appeared on May 9th, 1941. The Arkansas State Press was modeled after other African American publications of the era, such as the Chicago Defender and the Crisis. The Arkansas State Press ran stories about civil rights and spotlighted achievements of blacks in Arkansas. The paper quickly became a voice for civil rights nationally. Daisy Bates was later recognized as co-publisher of the paper. Daisy Bates immediately joined the local branch of the NAACP upon moving to Little Rock. In 1952, at the age of 38, she was elected president of the Arkansas Conference of NAACP branches. As the president, she was deeply involved in desegregated events. Even though in 1954, the United States Supreme Court decision in Brown v. Board of Education made all segregated schools illegal, the schools in Arkansas refused to enroll African American students. Bates and her husband tried to fight against the situation in their newspaper. The state press became a fervent supporter of the NAACP's integrated public school events. In an Arkansas State Press editorial, Daisy Bates wrote,
"We feel that the proper approach would be for the leaders among the Negro race, not clabbermouths, Uncle Toms, or grinning appeasers, to get together and counsel with the school heads. It is the belief of this paper that since the Negro's loyalty to America has forced him to shed blood on foreign battlefields against enemies, to safeguard constitutional rights, he is in no mood to sacrifice these rights for peace and harmony at home."
The newspaper pushed for immediate reform in the Arkansas educational system. The Arkansas State Press reported that the NAACP was the lead organizer in these protest events, and the newspaper gained national influence to let more people get involved in the educational events in Little Rock. Meanwhile, Governor Orville Forbes and his supporters refused to desegregate Central High School. The plan for desegregating the schools of Little Rock was to be implemented in 3 phases, starting first with the senior and junior high schools. Then, only after the successful integration of senior and junior schools, would the elementary schools be integrated. After 2 years and still no progress, a suit was filed against the Little Rock School District in 1956. The court ordered the school board to integrate the schools as of September 1957. That's when the, quote, battle for the soul of Little Rock, end quote, had begun. This has been African American History is American History. You've been listening to part 1 of the Daisy Bates story. But be sure to tune in to part 2 because there's a lot more to the story. In part 2, you'll hear about the attacks on the Bates home by the Klan, how Daisy Bates became the advisor and protector of the Little Rock Nine, how a black teenager named Elizabeth Eckford faced an angry racist mob all alone, and how a heated confrontation with Governor Orville Forbes finally came to a head. All that and more in part 2 of the Daisy Bates story, so don't miss it. The Daisy Bates story was written and directed by Harlan Kearsley. The voice actors for this episode were Robert McKay as Orly Smith and Kim Bay as Daisy Bates. I'm Harlan Kearsley, and on behalf of everyone involved with this series, thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so, please like, comment, and subscribe to the African American History is American History channel. Remember, it's free, and once you hit that bell icon, you'll be notified when new episodes are posted. So thanks again, and please stay safe. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2024.